Спешу я, ребят.
Куда? Ты же пришел к нам на состязание?
По каким правилам будем драться?
У нас нет правил.
Okay, so if he rushes in, and I don't get the hold on the wrist, this is where the parry comes in, okay? And if he tries to trace this line, you guys know what to do from there, okay?
Jeremy, please tell me, how long have you been practicing in martial arts?
I started martial arts when I was in my early teens, so I think it'd be probably somewhere around 23 years.
Okay, what was the reason you have started practicing martial arts?
Well, mostly because I really enjoyed martial arts films, and that's actually what got me started. And I think a lot of people who get into martial arts get started for that reason. I started in a Korean karate style called Tung Soo Do. And then I stopped training for a little while, and when I was in my early 20s, I joined the Army. And when I was in the Army, I got back into doing martial arts regularly. So we did a lot of the modern Army combatives, which is mostly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and boxing based. And it was training when I was in the Army that kind of influenced a lot of what I do now as being more straightforward, practical, and application based in my training. So basically it started as a hobby and something that interested me when I was young. And then while I was in the Army, obviously being a military man, being able to do martial arts and being able to fight as part of the job. So that was kind of the trajectory that my martial arts training took.
Were there any cases when your system saved your life?
Well, unfortunately, I should say fortunately, I've not actually ever had to do my martial arts in real life. Part of that reason is because a lot of what we do is not just being able to fight. It's actually knowing when you will be in a bad situation and you may have to fight. So situational awareness, being aware of your surroundings and when you're in the potential of being in a dangerous situation so you can avoid it.
Okay, what kind of martial arts do you practice and why you have chosen exactly this martial arts?
Primarily what I teach now is the Filipino martial arts, and the reason I chose them is because you learn many things at the same time. You learn how to use impact weapons, you learn how to use the blade, you learn how to use your empty hands, and improvised weapons.
Do you think that in real street fight with a psycho or military man or something else, it is possible to stay alive in a combat against a knife?
That is probably one of the most difficult things that you can ever attempt to do. And in my opinion, whether or not the person on the other end is crazy, a psycho, or has any kind of training, a knife is dangerous in the hands of anyone who wants to do you harm. The only thing that you can do in those situations is be honest with yourself, with your training, okay? You have to train hard and you have to train for reality, and all you can really do is hope for the best, okay? It's, again, very, very difficult, and if anyone can sit there and tell you with certainty that they can face off with somebody barehanded against a knife, they're either a liar or a dummy. They're a fool. Because you can never know. You can have the best training in the world, and you can have the most preparation, but if you make one mistake, that's the end. So there's really no way that I can answer the question with 100% confidence.
I have watched some of your videos from YouTube where you show how to defend empty-handed against a knife. Would you mind sharing some of those tactics?
Sure. So the number one thing that we teach is situational awareness. And so what I mean by situational awareness is making good decisions about where to go, when to go there. I have a rule that I teach my students. If you can avoid going to stupid places at stupid times with stupid people to do stupid things, chances are you'll probably never find yourself in a bad situation. But if you do, particularly if somebody has the weapon, the first thing that we like to do is try to control the distance. Obviously, running first is probably the best, but more often than not, you cannot run. So we try to control the distance, put obstacles between ourselves and the attacker, and if possible, we try to grab an equalizer or some kind of improvised weapon. Depending on the situation and where you are, a chair is actually a very good option. So if you're in a bar, a nightclub, or something of that nature, grabbing a chair is very good because you can keep them away.
Jeremy, what school of bladed weapons do you think is the most dangerous one in terms of working empty-handed?
That's very difficult because, again, for me, it's not about the school, it's about the person. Okay, so if the person has a good knowledge of anatomy and has the will to do physical harm to another person, they'll be very, very dangerous. But one other thing to consider is if you're training to use the blade against an empty-handed person, being able to counter their defenses against your blade is another thing that will make you very dangerous. And the Balintolok systems, which are part of the systems that I teach, that's a very, very big aspect of what they do. And in my personal knife curriculum, the counterblade tactics, we teach that as an area of focus, but I usually don't teach that to my beginner students or my civilian students. I usually teach that to the police officers I train with and the military guys that I teach.
So why do you think this school, your school of knife, is the dangerous? What features does it have?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's more dangerous or superior to any other one, because again, in my personal opinion, it's not the style, it's not the school, it's the person. Okay. But one of the things that we focus on with what I teach is trying to be as realistic as possible, and everything that we train is performed under stress, under pressure, against resistance. Many of the Filipino martial arts and many of the blade systems in practice around the world don't do this. They focus more on being able to do fancy moves and lots of pre-choreographed drills, which leaves the students feeling good at the end of their training, but it's not really instilling in them the sort of the mental attitude to do what they think they're doing in real life.
How do you think, what type of improvised weapon, except firearms, of course, can seriously hinder the task of an enemy?
Anything that gives you the advantage of distance or reach. In the Filipino martial arts, we've put a lot of focus on the impact weapons, being the stick. So in many instances, depending on where you are, you can always find something that can operate as a stick, anything that's long. So if you are in a bar that has a billiards table, a pool stick is wonderful. Like I said earlier, a chair is very, very good if there's one handy. Another thing that we talk about, it's not, in my opinion, it's not the best, but it is available most times, is your belt. If you can remove your belt and hold the rear end of the belt and strike with the buckle to keep the person away until you can create distance and hopefully run or find a better weapon. I also talk about using a car antenna. If you're in a parking lot and you're being accosted and you can survive the initial attack, because most knife attacks are not front on, the person doesn't take their knife out and announce their intent and then attack you. They usually attack you from behind. So you need to be able to fight through that and then be able to find the equalizer. So a car antenna works very well also because, again, it gives you distance.
Who is the most skilled master in the world who has fought empty-handed against a knife?
I'm actually not very sure of that. It's pretty difficult to filter through lots of martial arts instructors' claims because many of them, obviously, it's good for business to say that you have done these things in real life and what you teach is superior to everybody else's things. And that's kind of the nature of business. And I don't like to participate in that because essentially in more cases than not, it's typically an exaggeration or a lie. I can tell you who I think are some of the best instructors in the world right now, but I don't know for certain if they've actually done this really against the knife. But having trained with some of these guys and moved with them, I think they can. So within the Balintawak systems, because that's primarily what I train in. I've done a lot of different Filipino systems, and I've settled into the Balintawak because, in my opinion, they're the best suited for street fighting because they're very simple, they're very straightforward, and everything is meant to be performed under stress, under pressure, until you can do it in those conditions. So two of the instructors that I really look up to at this moment are Grandmaster Bobby Tabawada and Grandmaster Nicomedes Elazar. Grandmaster Bobby is located here in the United States, and Grandmaster Elazar is located in the Philippines, and then he also travels around Europe, and he does get to Russia and the surrounding areas every now and again. And that's actually the instructor I'm currently under in his system.
Jeremy, how long have you been teaching martial arts and which ones exactly?
I've been teaching now for, I think it's about 8 years. And I kind of teach two martial arts at the same time. I teach Japanese Budo, which is a lot of joint manipulation, throwing techniques, things of that nature. And then I also teach the Filipino martial art, Balintawak. I teach them side by side because they work very well together. Because within the Filipino martial arts, we don't necessarily focus on style. We focus on application. And the way that I teach the Japanese systems is the same way. It doesn't have to be stylistic. It doesn't have to look like the martial art. It just has to be effective. And when you approach things in that way, you can mix any number of things together, as long as you're keeping in mind the application that you're going for and not getting caught up in the look of the art itself.
Спешу я, ребят.
Куда? Ты же пришел к нам на состязание?
По каким правилам будем драться?
У нас нет правил.